Hey, hi friends, good morning. Welcome back SRIKRISHNA Soft Skills, Power BI Instructor and Lead. So, Easy Power BI by Naveen. Okay, yeah. Today, I would like to introduce a new topic. So, Azure Data Factory. So, this is one of the Azure family. Okay, uh, as per this topic, so before going to this topic, so we will encourage you to please like it and share it and do bell icon for never miss the new updates. Okay, so this is our channel. So today agenda is to Azure Data Factory introduction part 1. So because of these videos we will make it part 1, part 2, part 3 like that. So Azure Data Factory, so we will make and more videos. Okay, thank you friends. Yeah, so before going to this Azure Data Factory, what is the Azure? Okay, so we have lot of Azure sorry, we have lot of like Google CP, Google GCP and Amazon AWS and Azure. We have a lot of ETL tools. Okay, okay, so then we are, let's start. What is the Azure? So Azure is a cloud environment. So it is a cloud ETL tool. Okay. In the market, we have a lot of ETL tools like AWS from the Amazon and Google GCP and then Azure from Microsoft. Okay. And we have a lot of ETL tools. But in the market nowadays, everyone should think and we should speak about the Azure. So it's come from Microsoft. So what earlier we have discussed the Power BI. So from the Gartner information from 2021 or 22, so the who is the top challenge level and the top leader level is a Power BI. So how like that it is in Azure in the cloud ETL. So Azure Data Factory. Okay. Yeah. So Azure is a one of the cloud environment. So it is a cloud ETL tool. So what is mean by ETL? Okay. So ETL is a extract and transform and load. Okay. Earlier we have the extract and transform load have the SSIS and SSRS like SSIS. So those are the on-premises data sources, but in Azure is a cloud environment. Okay, yeah. So Azure having the many data engineering projects like, okay, so what is the linked services and then what is the Azure Data Factory, Azure Data Brick. So okay, then we will talk about little bit later. Okay, so actually we have a many data sources. So like how many types of data source we have? Can you anyone please? Yeah, we have data basically from three, like one is the structured data and unstructured data and semi-structured data. So structured data, like it is a table format and in a RDBMS, okay, it is stored in a tables and columns, tables in a columns and rows. Okay, so like unstructured data, it is stored as a like XML JSON format. Okay, so sorry, semi-structured data, it is stored in a XML and JSON format. So unstructured data, some videos and audios and tapes and reviews. Okay, so these are the three types of data. So most of the 70% of data is there in unstructured data. So like semi-structured data. Okay, only 30% of data is there in table format in the SQL or what. Okay, yeah. So already we have a lot of tools in the market. So before we are going to the pulled with the tool, so we need to some understanding of the know why we need for the ETL. Okay, so why introduce for this kind of ETL? So okay, let me demonstrate that which we have the data stored in a different databases. Okay, simply called as a OLTP. So this is the nothing but OLTP. So online transaction processing. Okay, so the OLTP is some of the Oracle DB and then SQL database and then DB2. So these are the like on premises. Okay, application can connect to and maintain and commit the update data into the different databases. Okay, yeah, this and one of the most disadvantage of the OLTP is we have only there less storage occupancy. Okay, less storage occupancy. Okay, less storage occupancy. Yeah. Okay. So then if you want to store the data in somewhere, so this is the storage less account, then we go for the data warehousing concept. So in the data warehousing concept, the RDBMS, so data warehouse, what is the data warehouse? RDBMS, a relational database management. So in the relational database management, then OLTP system, so like Teradata and Veratica and Netiza, that etc. So up to 200 TB. But nowadays, so you assume the now new Facebook. Okay, Facebook is a per day 110 terabyte data will release. Okay, so then we can't to store this data in a data warehouse. If you suppose you store the data in data warehouse like week or days, only in 10 days or some days only we will store the data. Okay, more than that we cannot store data in data warehousing concept. Okay, so where we store, so we have some data. Okay, and you know the LinkedIn, so LinkedIn in every 10 seconds 3 millions of transaction per every 10 seconds. Okay, okay guys, okay friends, 10 seconds. So LinkedIn every 10 seconds 3 million transactions. Okay, data has been generated. Okay, so when you store this data, like example Amazon, Flipkart, and then Meesho, okay, some Tata, like every the like business are generating the data. So you assume to store the data in a databases. Then when you transform, when you run the one company, we have a lot of data warehousing buildings is there in somewhere. Okay, when you go, when you see the data warehouse like that, it will show. So I will show you the data warehousing okay, yeah, data warehousing, data warehousing. You will see, so data warehouse like that. So this is the, so when you see somewhere, so this is like, then you will see the data warehousing, how you store the data. Yeah, this like, so when you observe, this is, so like it is a like big building. So when you store the data, so this type of buildings you have, so you maintain the this type of buildings, so that is very cost. So this is very efficiency. So that is the reason, so you maintain the data is very difficult. So when you come into the picture, and this is the on-premises data. So when you on-premises data, then convert it to the cloud, then you want to use some tools. Okay, there SSIS packages and then tubes and SSRIs like and SSAs. So okay, integration services. Then you use, earlier we used to use this data. So these like, these are the all the data warehousing in earlier. Okay, okay. Now, so you coming this one. So this is the data, terabytes of data, 200 terabytes of data. We store the data. Okay. Now this overcome this one, then Hadoop system will come. So it was come in the picture in the 2011. Okay, the Hadoop HDFS, the Hadoop distributed file system. Okay, in the Hadoop distributed file system, it is more than the data, then it will capable to store the data. Okay, so from the Hadoop distributed file system, then the Microsoft is invented that Azure data lake storage. Okay, to increase the storage capacity, Microsoft introduced the ADLS system, so Azure Data Lake Storage System. Okay, I think this is the brief overview of the Azure Data Factory, where they store the data. So what is the OLTP and what is the data warehouse concept? Okay, and where the ETL, the extract and transform and load the data. Okay, in the cloud environment. Okay, yeah. Coming to the Azure Data Factory products. So in the Azure Data Factory products, we have the Azure SQL and Azure Data Lake and Azure Synapse Analytics and Azure Data Factory. Okay, Azure Data Bricks and Azure Streamings. Okay, these then we will store the data, we will transform the data, we will and load into the data, the staging age area and then loading area, and pipeline. Then all those we will little bit later. So I think we do not discuss the practical thing in this video. So next coming video, we will discuss, then we will take a one scenario, then how to copy the data from by using pipelines, how to storage, all those, then we will discuss in later video. Okay. So in this video, this is only overview of the, what is the thing behind on the Azure. Okay. What is the theory part, then we will cover this video. Okay. So please, if you don't feel like bored, so this, when you understand this concept, then we will easily work the in Azure Data Factory. So this is only easy way to learn in Azure Data Factory, like it's only the drag and drop only. So there is need not to remember any like codes. So it's a C language like in Python, whatever. So you do not remember anything. So just you drag and drop. So for example, the clients given that this data, then you will start with this data, then you will go and you will create some activities, you will create some linked services and create the data set, and then you copy the data from some storage to somewhere. That is the things, simple things. Then I will explain you like very easiest way to how to understand the data and how to do the all the analysis. Okay, so please believe me, please trust me. Okay, yeah. In Azure SQL, actually where we written the queries, so it is also OLTP system. Okay, but on cloud to pull, they require data from different data sources. Okay, from in like our on-premises data to cloud, it will so pull the data required from databases. So it's like a Azure SQL. Okay, so in earlier, so we have the SSMS, and then we have the SQL server, and then we log in that server, everything there in the in on-premises data in our system. So then we will pull the data from the SQL data stores to the like cloud storage. Okay, now in the Azure Data Factory, we have the option in the Azure SQL. So we need to create the Azure database, and then along with that server, everything we should create. Okay, then we will little bit later, then we will discuss. Okay. The second thing is the Azure Data Lake. Okay, it can consider as a unlimited storage, unlimited structured data and unstructured data. Okay, in Azure Data Lake, then we store the structured data is like RDBMS or semi-structured data in XML or JSON files, and unstructured data in audio, videos, and tapes and reviews. Okay, and going to the Azure Synapse Analytics. Okay, this is the data warehousing in cloud. Okay, this is Azure Synapse Analytics is data warehousing on cloud. So this is also here OLTP only store the structured data only in Azure Synapse. Okay, so I'm not going to way to written something there when you explain, because of then we reduce the time to your explanation is very easy to understand them. So then I have written. Okay, so please understand. Yeah, next one is the Azure Data Factory. So in the Azure Data Factory and Azure Databricks. So shall we move into the Azure Data Factory? Okay, yeah. So this is the types of computing and types of cloud services. Then everything we will cover in the our Azure demo part. So once you learn the Power BI, and then we will cover this Azure Data Factory and Azure Databricks. Okay, and the fundamentals of the Azure. Okay, then is like AZ900 and then DP900. Okay, what are the questions covered in the AZ900? And also then once you learn this basic fundamentals, then you able to crack the AZ900 and DP900 certificate also. Okay, in the in-depth analysis, then you have to learn in something from YouTube or something Google, then that is add an advantage to crack the AZ900 and DP900. Okay, then we will discuss about later. So what is the infrastructure as a service, and what is the platform as a service, and what is the software service. So today right away I am going to the discuss about the Azure Data Factory. Okay, the Azure Data Factory is to data integration system that allows user to move the between on-premises and cloud system, as well as a scheduled data flows. Okay, yeah, from on-premises data to cloud storage. It will move the data from on-premises data to cloud storage. Okay, yeah, conventionally the SQL Server integration service, so SSIS, is used to data integration from data base stored in a on-premises infrastructure, but it cannot handle data one of the cloud. Okay, but in Azure Data Factory can work on cloud or non-premises or on-premises and has to superior job scheduling the future, which makes is better than SSIS. Okay, yeah. Next, so Azure Data Factory so created this platform to enable to user the construct the workflow that can be import, yeah, data from the both on-premises and cloud data sources. Okay, as will we convert the data process data using the current computing service like the Hadoop. Okay, and second is why Azure Data Factory. Okay, so the most commonly used tool in the data integration on-premises is SSIS in earlier, but there is some changes to be overcome when you dealing with the data and the cloud. Okay, Azure Data Factory can tackle these challenges faced while moving data from cloud. Okay, by the following method, by using some job scheduling and architectures, and then we will discuss the latter, and security, and then continuous integration, continuous delivery. Okay, CACP, CACD pipelines. Okay, and then scalability. So Data Factory is designed to capable to handle a large volume of data. Okay, yeah, the most important thing is in the session is to the core components of the Azure Data Factory. Yeah, what are the core components in the Azure Data Factory? Yeah, when knowing the data factories, the features are important, like the pipelines and the activities and then linked services and integration runtime and data set and then triggers. Okay, these are the core components in the Azure Data Factory. Okay, so when you remember these things, then you will easily understand the Azure Data Factory, and then you easily work on the Azure Data Factory pipelines and how to create the pipelines and everything. Okay, so what is the mean by pipeline? Pipeline is a group of action or activity, whatever the some activity. So copy activity, like delete activity, and Azure Data Factory, Azure Data Bricks activity, and something different activities we have. Okay, like data movement and copy activity and get data and is and else and for loop and then each loop. Okay, data transformation and control phase, some of the activities. Okay, in each pipeline in Data Factory can have one or more actions. Okay, the pipeline makes scheduling and monitoring several logical related operations a lot easier. Okay, yeah, so this is about the pipeline. So activities, so in each activity having in one pipeline there are the lot of activities processing in the step. Okay, when you execute the one pipeline, then these activities then we can transform, like ADF support the data movement and then copy activity and get activity and then for loop and each loop and control flows. Most of the activities there, then when we go to the Azure portal, then we will able to see. And second thing is the linked services. So when you when you created the storage account in the Azure, so then you run the pipeline in the Azure Data Factory. So from Azure to the linked services, it is a data relationship between this Azure and the Azure Data Factory. Okay, the details, either data source link file from the Azure blob storage or the table from the Azure SQL, computer service such as the data bricks or Azure Data Lake Analytics. Okay, when you configure this parameter specific data source are stored in a linked services, this cloud include information such as a server database name and a file folder credentials and so on. Okay, so this is the linked services. So, and the integration runtime. So why the integration runtime IR? So when you include the executing the data flows and SQL Server integration services packages there, on importing the data from on-premises to cloud data stores, when we choose the create them, the three types of integrations. So Azure Auto IR and then self-hosted IR and Azure SSIS IR. So these are we will discuss whenever in practical work. There we will discuss in depth. Okay, Yeah, coming to the data set. So data set is to contain the data source configuring parameters like a table name, file name, as well as the structure we can found in a data set. Okay, and the data set can be stored like in the multiple pipelines within the ADF where it has been created. So data set is nothing but then where we copy the data, where we activity from some one storage to another storage, the blob storage or SQL storage to store the data, and some we have a one storage data there, then you need to some transform data and then you will load the data in some other way. So this is data set you create there. Okay, this is like data set. So triggering, so when you create the one pipeline, so trigger the pipeline. So now trigger or the debug the pipeline, then you run the pipeline. Okay, pipelines are scheduling configuration that are content configuration settings such as a start or end dates, execution frequency. Okay, triggers are not required ADF implementation. They are only required you want to pipeline to run automatically and it set schedules. Okay, these are the schedule triggering and tumbling triggering, and then event based triggers are there. These are three types of triggers. How it will work with, we will see the in coming videos. Okay, so this is the overview of Azure Data Factory and then core components of Azure Data Factory. Okay, yeah. So thank you very much for supporting your subscription and then your lot of comments. Okay, then if you have anything you want in the Azure Data Factory or Azure Data Bricks, okay, please let me on the comment, then we will accordingly make a videos according to your comment. Okay, thank you friends, thank you very much.